All right, time for another DraftPhysics.com, debatephysics.com also, but really just can't get it to happen. Can't get people to engage in a reasonable, you know, polite even, conversation about the nature of the truth of the axioms of science, the premises, even arguments about wave and particle. They just won't engage in the conversation about the facts that make one a possible theory and make the other an impossible theory. And they just won't engage in it because, frankly, the standard theory is a nonsense, frankly. Um, and if I can't say the word nonsense, or I can't say rubbish and stupid or foolish, then I can't be honest, right? So we can't have the conversation because, yeah, I'm going to call it what it looks like to me. I mean, if it looks upside down and crooked, I swear I'm gonna say it is. It's upside down and crooked. It ain't gonna work. It doesn't work. It's crazy and it's stupid. So anyway, I found this channel. Really interesting guy. It talks fast and well. Okay, and he does a bunch of different kinds of videos. Now, of course, I haven't watched them all, but he did some on mostly wind turbines and some of the mechanics of bearings and generating devices. Talks a little bit about over unity as being some sort of possibility. So it's a little bit tricky, to say, well, I guess he doesn't think there are very rigid conservation laws. So I guess he doesn't really see the universe as being locked in a momentum battle where you just never can change how much momentum is in the universe. And all that the universe does is moves momentum from place to place. So it moves it from big things to little things and then from little things to big things. And this is the simple argument I've been making for 10 years. Okay, is that this is really it's the wave particle duality thing, whatever you want to call it. This is the substance of the argument from my perspective. Is it appears that everybody else, okay, just doesn't believe in momentum, and they don't think it's the more foundational and more fundamental. Well, again, what's the point of me saying the more? It is a duality. It either is momentum or it's this thing called the kinetic energy, which is just a mathematical concept. So we did a video on mathematics, and so I'll respond to some of the things he says about mathematics and how I would phrase it differently, frankly. I would use the language and different words to describe the concept of mathematics. Because in my opinion, it's just a formalization. It's a model, but it's an abstract model. So the model is just modeling the M and the V in a way. It's just modeling the most rudimentary aspects of something's form and shape. The only parts that are significant to its action are the ones you include in your formula. So you're just really caring about what aspects of it make it move, what aspects make something happen, and you don't really care whether it's painted black or it's painted white or it's green. The stuff that doesn't matter you don't put in the math. So the math is a real reduction of I call that a formalization, of the elemental elements of the function. Now the problem with the mathematics is this idealism word. Okay, so what I'm getting to, okay, in this video to you is a simple argument. I'd just like you to answer the question. The physics says, okay, that it requires 100 times the fuel to spin something 10 times as fast. That's a requirement of the facts they say are facts. They say there is this stuff called living force, the mv squared, kinetic energy, and that this stuff is real, that it does real watts, it creates real joules of energy. And the fact is, I'm arguing that, of course, it doesn't, and that none of the things it says are true. Okay, that, for example, a 16-pound bowling ball going 8 miles an hour they say an 8-pound ball going 16 miles an hour has twice the energy. Now, the momentum equation says they're dead even. It's the same thing. You're not going to knock down more pins with one ball over the other ball. And the kinetic energy formula says, no, you're over unity. Okay. So if you can make a 16-pound ball going 8 and convert it into an 8-pound ball going 16, you can make free energy. And so that's the element of their formula. So, I've had tons and tons of arguments about what a lever will do. And the problem is it's always in this construction of an ideal lever, and the problems of creating this ideal lever. Now, the good news about this guy is that he's done work on bearings, and he's talked about liquids and hydraulics, used in bearings to make things really efficient. Maybe some of that would actually be applicable to, perfecting these mechanisms, these experimental devices, to find the truth. Now, the obvious argument I would make is if I make this ideal lever, there's absolutely no doubt, that I can put the 16-pound ball going 8 miles an hour, okay? I can drop that here, and over here, 2 distances away, I can have the 8-pound ball, and I can make it go 16 velocity. I'll have the same momentum. And the rule is that, well, this energy was only 100 going in, let's say, and I'm going to get 200 coming out. All right, so I'm going to make free energy every single time. And I can make 4 times the energy, I can make 8 times the energy, and then I can go all the way to the example of the gun and the bullet, where I could have the recoil of the gun. Okay, I could have the recoil of the gun this way, the gun here, and I have 2 joules of energy I put in, all right, and I can go ... pretty far out over here, and I can have the bullet, and I can, convert the gun into something with 1,000 times the energy, so I can improve my energy by 1,000 times. Anything I put in here, I can make it 1,000 times more energy by just putting it on this stick. Now, obviously, momentum says that's the same thing. I'm not winning anything. It's irrational reasoning to think I am. And this comes down to a 10-ton train, 5-ton train thing. I mean, this is the experiment that we know happens. I have a 5 mass moving 10 velocity. I just add another 5 mass, and I end up with automatically losing half the kinetic energy, right? I have a 10 going 5, and it has 1/2 the energy. I'm required by the mathematics to lose half the energy. There's no rational reason I lost half the energy. There's no explanation for where the energy went, because obviously I can't make energy go somewhere and then also use it and keep it. So I can't keep 100% of the momentum and lose half the energy. That's irrational, right? And that's what the math says. The math says I keep 100% of my momentum and I lose half my energy. I'm saying it's irrational math. So yeah, this argument's about 1/2 mv squared, invented by Leibniz, okay, and rejected by everyone for, almost 100 years, 80 years, let's say. And in the 1700s, they resurrected it with some show experiments that were silly, frankly. And people fell for it and just decided they liked this idea of squaring a velocity. So he's talking about the nature of the history of math, and obviously nobody would come up with some notion that you could create anything called a squared velocity. You can understand a squared distance, that you can do 2 distances and that you can create this area. But how do you create a velocity area? It's impossible to think of a velocity as an area. It doesn't make any sense. So it's just rubbish for so many reasons. All right, so anyway, that's the substance of the argument, the part I want you to opine on. I mean, do you, as a mechanically inclined person who's playing constantly with these mechanical systems to see what they'll do you actually believe it takes 100 times the fuel to spin a motor 10 times as fast? Or do you recognize that formula, that statement about reality, this phrase, so we're going to call math a language, This is a phrase. Do you think this phrase makes any sense? This is basically saying water isn't wet, in my opinion. I mean, it might as well just say water isn't wet. No, I know water's wet, okay? Momentum works, okay? There's no half mv squared. There's mv, okay? There's wet water, and nothing else. And so this is elemental to 80% of modern physics. Has some version of this nonsense formula in it. 80%. I mean, all the quantum mechanics, all of the accelerator physics, it's integral to all the theoretical physics. Let's put it that way. All the real physics doesn't use it. Okay, they don't land on the moon with it, but they use it everywhere else. All the theoretical physics has this all over it. Okay, and I'd just like you to opine on that. See if I can find another human being who can frankly add 2 plus 2 and figure out it doesn't make any sense. You can't say I conserved 100% of the momentum and I lost half the energy. It's a nonsense statement. All right, so on the subject of math, like I said, I think it's just a formalization. It's just saying what is in essence of any kind of question. And then you realize, okay, when a lever moves, okay, in a sense the object is rotating on a curved line. You can understand that the thing that really matters is this angle, because that'll tell you, okay, what possible triangle or distance you can create. And you can just figure out the distance at 2 points and say, well, the average, okay, line that object would have to move on is a different line, okay, than just straight up and down. So you can use math to model, but I could also just draw a circle, right? If somebody tells me a pendulum is swinging and they tell me the string is 15 inches long and it has an arc, well, I could just draw it. I could draw the model. I don't have to mathematically synthesize the picture. I can just draw it. And then I could just take a ruler and measure it. So I can do the math with physical hardware. I mean, I can calculate the volume of a bottle, right? And I can calculate the size of a bean. And then I can calculate how much airspace is destroyed, when beans are thrown into a jar. And then I could calculate how many beans are in a jar. Or I could just dump them out and count them. Or else I could put something else in the jar that I know is twice as big as a bean, and then I can do an approximation. I mean, I could do lots of different things. And so math it's not an essential tool. It's just some sort of aid. Okay, so it's sort of like having a good ruler. It's a nice aid. Okay, it can expedite what you're doing. It make it more efficient, make it faster. But you could also just draw a picture of it. Now, obviously, you can't draw a flat picture of a boat, okay, and make it sail. But you can draw the flat picture of the dynamics, how much the boat sinks based on how much weight you put in it. You can model it, okay, without having to do a bunch of math. But I'm not against math. I'm just saying, I just don't think language is the right thing to say, because it's just a tool. Math just takes something, the essence of something, reduces it to just a few little factors, and then you know the relationship between the factors. You know that the hypotenuse has to be longer than the side, kind of thing, and the angles have to add up, and so it just gives you some basic rules to apply so you can make estimates and guesstimates at outcomes. But yeah, so I'm not a big fan of discussing mathematics, frankly. I'm just saying that there's no point in talking about maths if all these people who talk about maths are going to accept a bunch of formulas that are nonsense. What's the point of having the tool of mathematics if you're going to create axioms, formulas, that are garbage and nonsense? Things that just aren't true. Up is down. I mean, if I put that into the English language and we all must believe that up is down, I've just made all kinds of messes out of logic and reasoning and the ability to even communicate. How can up be down? Up can't be down. Conserving momentum cannot be creating or destroying kinetic energy. It can't happen that way. All right. So it'd be just nice to get somebody to admit that no, they don't think it takes 100 times the fuel to go spin a motor 10 times as fast. And the more basic argument is, do you believe that if I had 100 atoms and I moved them, 1,000 atoms, and I moved them 1 mile an hour, I would have the same energy if I moved one atom 1,000 miles an hour? That those two actors, the 1,000 atoms moving a 1 mile an hour and the one atom moving 1,000 miles an hour, would be able to produce into the universe the same amount of heat. They would bump into things and cause motion, and the end result, motion, okay, the motion that just keeps going, right? Every piece of energy just keeps going. The amount of energy that would keep going on one side with 1,000 atoms going 1 mile an hour, the amount of energy would dissipate into the same amount of energy as the one atom going 1,000 miles an hour. It'll dissipate into exactly the same amount of single atoms moving 1 mile an hour. It reduces one atom moving 1,000 miles an hour. If I put into a system of 1 billion atoms, it's going to reduce to exactly the same thing. 1,000 atoms moving 1 mile an hour. That's what it's going to end up being. That's going to be its heat, its energy, its capacity to move matter. All right. So I'm just pleading. Is there a rational human on Earth? Because so far I haven't found one. Can't find anybody who will honestly opine on this subject and tell me that they actually, especially somebody who actually makes videos and somebody who's actually mechanically inclined, and actually say, yes, they believe it does take 100 times the fuel to spin a motor 10 times faster. And that a motor spinning 10 times faster does 100 times the work. I mean, if we just answer the question, I'd really be grateful. Okay. So enough of a video. This was nice and as cordial as I can be after, just 10 years of people evading the subject and just, telling me I must believe the fable. I must believe it. I must believe it. No, I mustn't. All right, anyway. Thank you. And until the next time. Oh, disappointingly, I just found out I'm wasting my time. Yeah, there's apparently the other channel is just, I hate this. These guys with big channels, they make all these other channels. So it's just a way of making more money, and it's just bullshit, and it's just disappointing. So this one's got his name on it, Robert Murray Smith, Thinking and Tinkering. And so he did say that in one of the videos, and I said, well, how come, it says TNT in the title, but okay. Well, anyway, and so this main channel, he has 489,000 subscribers, so I'm sure we're not going to hear anything from him. So I have once again wasted my time seeking somebody an honest man, because none of them are honest. Once they have a 500,000 subscribers, you're not going to find an honest man with 500,000 subscribers. But anyway, disappointing. But we'll see. I'll post the link as a response to his other channel. And we'll see what happens, but poop. Yeah, it's just not likely to happen, So, anyway, disappointing. Shit.